all started out as a devotion or a Bible study or something that's happening with families in our church, and they sort of turn into these songs. So the idea of Thrive and this picture of the tree that you see, Thrive is the name of our student ministry in Atlanta. You'll hear groups of teenagers singing through the record. That's my students in the youth group. They all think they're famous now. When do I get my cut? Shut up and eat your pizza. You're fine. So, about 7 years ago, I took my students on a mission trip, and we were down in South Alabama, and we were doing work in different churches and just working with kids and stuff. And we stopped for lunch at a park in Geneva, Alabama. And this park is called the Junction. And at this park called the Junction, there's two rivers coming together. Hence the name. And then there's a tree there called the Constitution tree. And it's 300 years old. The tree is most likely more old than our country is. Yeah. And all our students are hanging out in this tree. I want to show you this tree real quick. This is the tree. That is a tree. One tree. Right. So the students are all climbing up on top of it, and I'm like looking through release forms thinking, I am so fired. Right. So the whole time we're hanging out up here, we're taking pictures, and there's this farmer from Geneva, and he's following me around because he's been driving the church van for us, and he's talking the whole time, and I'm in and out like I am with most people that are talking to me, and I'm listening, and I'm taking pictures, and he says, Mark, Geneva is a flood town, and he pointed to the levee over this direction, and he was pointing to the mud lines up in the trees. This is how high the water got. We picked a bicycle up out of the top of that tree, right? And he pointed to this one. He said, Mark, this tree is not going anywhere. This place has flooded twice since I've lived here. The city was covered in water. He said, what keeps this tree strong is not what's going on, what you see. It's what you don't see. And he did something with his hands. He said, Mark, if you were to take all the dirt out from under this tree, you'd see just as much going on under the surface as you do above the surface, kind of like this. And we had been talking about Psalm chapter 1, being like a tree planted by streams of water. It's a very important picture to have in my head, because we are to be digging deep and reaching out. Yeah? Because, a lot of believers are kind of all roots. They're always wanting to learn more stuff, and they're reading and they're listening to sermons, talking about theology and wanting to learn all the ins and outs of what everything means, and they're always pouring over it. But they're always talking about it so much that there might not be that much love to them. So people kind of trip over them more than are helped by them. But on the other side, you got believers that are all reach. Man, anytime you see them, they're going, doing, reaching, feeding, rescuing, clothing, whatever they can do all the time. But there might not be a lot of roots to their faith. So they kind of get their value from what they're doing, and life pretty easily knocks them over. So usually when I'm talking to anybody who's struggling in their faith, I always ask them, how are your roots? Are you in the Word right now, or are you just kind of coasting, right? To know God is to get in His Word first. Not to go be awesome so He'll love you. But just get to know Him and realize He loved you before you even knew what good was. Amen? So what we're going to do is we're going to take all the songs you've known from Crowns over the years, and we're going to divide them up into two groups. In the first half of this night, we're going to spend all about digging deep. This is what God says in His Word about life. In the second half, we're going to look at this is what God says about reaching out to the world. You down with that? You ready? Here we go.